We will begin shortly.
Buenas noches, gracias por unirse al webinario de cuidado infantil. Esta noche vamos a comenzar próximamente.
大家晚上好，欢迎大家加入我们本次的研讨会。我们本次会议马上开始。
Good evening, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Next slide, please. Hello and welcome. Your microphone has been muted and your video has been turned off as you are entering the room. In order to provide language access, this webinar is presented in English, Spanish, and Mandarin. If you are on a laptop or desktop, after we are done with this announcement, you will see a globe at the bottom right of your screen. Please click on the globe icon that says Interpretation and select English. If you are on an iPad or a similar device, locate the three-dot menu on the upper right and select Language Interpretation, then select English. Next slide, please.
Para facilitar el acceso a servicios de idioma, esta reunión contará con interpretación simultánea en español. Si está usando una computadora portátil o de escritorio, una vez que hayamos terminado con este anuncio, verá un globo terráqueo en la parte de abajo derecha de su pantalla. Por favor, seleccione el icono del globo terráqueo que dice Interpretation y seleccione Spanish o Español. Si está usando un iPad o un dispositivo similar, ubica el menú de tres puntos en la parte de arriba hacia la derecha y seleccione Language Interpretation. Luego seleccione Spanish. Cuando sea su turno para hablar, por favor, recuerde hablar claro y en voz alta y a un ritmo moderado, ya que el intérprete interpretará simultáneamente al otro idioma. Gracias. Thank you.
Next slide, please.
好，大家晚上好，我们的会议马上开始。非常感谢，欢迎大家。我们的麦克风会进行静音。我们现在的话，如果需要，本次的会议会提供中文和英文的同声传译服务。大家如果想要切换到自己的语言，可以在会议控制板上点击传译 （interpretation） 的一个标志，然后点击您想要听到的自己的语言。就可以选择你想要听到的传译，请点击将原本音频消音。Thank you.
Thank you. We will pause a moment to allow time for members of our team and of our audience to get into the interpretation rooms. Thank you.
Vamos a tomar una breve pausa para permitir que todos entren a las salas de interpretación que serán habilitadas después de este anuncio. Gracias.
Mandarin, if you could interpret, please.
Yes. 我们现在停顿1分钟，请我们的观众和我们的翻译呢进入翻译室。
Thank you. Next slide, please. So we know most folks are familiar with Zoom. However, we want to share a couple of items. The presenters will use chat feature to share links and additional information with you. You will use the question and answer box to ask questions of us. At the end of the presentation, we will verbally respond to your questions, as many as possible. Next slide, please. We have an important message to share regarding our statewide webinar attendance. We greatly appreciate your interest in our June statewide webinar and to your commitment to the child care webinars all year long. We would like to inform you that attendance can be counted towards your early child care professional growth hours. If you attend the live webinar and stay from the beginning to the very end, you will receive a follow-up email through Zoom certifying your presence. This follow-up email can be used as a verification towards your professional growth hours. We appreciate your participation and want providers to continue to be successful in keeping children healthy and safe in their care. So let's move into our agenda. Next slide, please. All right. Again, thank you for joining us on this evening of June 23rd, 2026. My name is Danielle Cinder, and I will facilitate this webinar. We are excited to present our second quarterly webinar of 2026. We would like to share with you that thousands of providers have participated in our statewide webinars, and we look forward to sharing even more information with you this year. We appreciate that you chose to be with us tonight. Here's our agenda for this evening's webinar. Today, we will be sharing program updates and content to address topics based on questions we have repeatedly received. We have invited guest speakers who will share valuable information and resources, including hot topics from our technical support program. Our first speaker is Jordan Lindsay, Executive Director of the ARC of California. Jordan will share information on intervention, water safety, and drowning prevention. Our technical support program team will present on key information with water requirements and criminal record background check requirements specific to volunteers under Title 22 regulations. Get ready for some really great information. We hope that you will be staying until the end for questions and answers. Next slide, please. So these are our current staffing updates. There are staffing changes across the state due to retirements, promotions, etc. And we will be dropping a link in the chat for the regional office directory for your reference. We are happy to share the following. Jordan Moneth has been hired as Assistant Program Administrator for Region 5 with Chico, Santa Rosa, San Bruno, Oakland, and Oakland South regional offices. Louisa Gavoshan has been hired as Regional Manager for the Fresno South regional office. Deborah Lowe has been hired as Regional Manager for the El Segundo North regional office. Aaron Verretta has been hired as Regional Manager for Chico and the Santa Rosa regional offices. Justine Tamayo has been hired as the Greater Los Angeles Child Care Advocate with Child Care Advocate and our technical support unit. Selena Sao has been hired as Licensing Program Manager for the San Diego Regional Office. Samuel Lopez has been hired as Licensing Program Manager for Riverside Regional Office. And last but not least, Adam Hammer has been hired as Licensing Program Manager for the San Jose Regional Office. Congratulations to everyone. Again, there are changes occurring across the state due to retirements and promotions, and we will keep you up to date. Next slide, please. So these are our PIN updates, our provider information notices. PIN 2608 CCLD notifies all community care licensing division licensees and providers, including the Home Care Services Branch, the Trust Line Registry, and the Ombudsman Program of updates to LiveScan forms LIC 9163, LIC 9163B, and TLR 9163G to now include a mandatory signature line for applicants. Moving on to PIN 2609 CCLD. This PIN supersedes PIN 2402 CCLD and notifies all Community Care Licensing Division licensees, providers, and applicants of updated best practices when initiating a background check and provides step-by-step instructions on how to navigate the application process in the Guardian system. The California Department of Social Services, Community Care Licensing Division, and Care Provider Management Branch is providing updated recommendations and guidance on the importance of using Guardian to apply for background checks, upload documents, and access the self-serve options. One more thing we would like to share with our audience is effective June 8th, 2026, licensed childcare facilities in California may choose to serve whole, reduced fat, 2%, low fat, which is the 1%, or non-fat milk to children ages 2 and older. A forthcoming PIN will provide those full details. In the meantime, if you have any questions regarding this update, please reach out to your local regional office. Next slide, please. Okay, so the department will implement a new system which licensing program analysts will utilize during their inspections. This new system is called the Facility Management System, or FMS, and I will share some of what this project has to offer. So let's start with what is Facility Management System? FMS is the system that will replace many of the software systems used by the Community Care Licensing Division. It will modernize and optimize the oversight of care facilities, ensuring greater efficiency, compliance, and quality of service. FMS will allow for greater focus on the health and safety of our most vulnerable populations that we serve, meeting the needs of staff, licensees, and the community. And there will be a public portal available to our providers. So when will FMS be available? The first release is scheduled for August 17th, 2026. 2 additional releases planned in the second half of 2026 or into 2027, but the final release will be in 2027. So we do anticipate FMS will be fully implemented by 2027. Next slide, please. Okay, and I wanted to share a friendly reminder with lead testing. Lead is a neurotoxin that can harm a child's developing brain and nervous system, even at low levels, with children birth to 6 years old being the most at risk. All licensees must provide the risks and effects of lead poisoning flyer, the PUB 515, upon enrollment or re-enrollment of children in care. The 5-year reoccurring lead testing requirement is approaching for some licensed child care centers as early as July 2026. CCC funding is still available for lead testing and remediation. See the QR code here on this slide to apply for funding and the direct link to the eligibility form. For more information, including lead-related provider information notices, visit the Child Care Licensing, Lead Toxicity Prevention, and Water Information webpage. And this is located under quick links. And I think it's also being put in the chat as well. Next slide, please. So you can keep current with licensing updates by registering to be on the distribution list. Once you are on this list, you can receive licensing updates through provider information notices, also known as PINs, sent directly to your email. From CDSS homepage, you can click on the blue tab link that says Receive Important Updates, or you can use your camera to scan the QR code on the right and register to be on our distribution list. We will wait a few seconds for those of you who wish to register now. And all you have to do is provide your current email address and the types of programs you wish to receive updates on. Next slide, please. At this time, we would like to invite Jordan Lindsay, Executive Director of the ARC of California. Jordan Lindsay has served as Executive Director of the ARC of California since 2017. He has many years of leadership experience in advocacy, public policy, and disability services, and his work focuses on improving services and supports for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families. Please welcome Jordan.
Thank you so much, and what an honor and a pleasure to be with everyone here this evening. I had the distinct pleasure of being with you last year as well, and had such a great time, and I thought some really important information was shared. And what I just want to take first a moment to say, wow, it's incredible to be with nearly 1,000 of you from across the state who are all doing such tremendous work with our children. And also want to give my hats off to the department for convening these really important meetings so that there are best practices shared, and then all of us can get together and learn and make sure that we are doing the best for our children across the state. I'm here, we're going to talk about water, and we're talking about drowning prevention, water safety. And I come at this from a particular angle working with the ARC of California, which we're going to talk about, which is why it's also so important and such a huge priority to consider water safety for children with intellectual and or developmental disabilities. That may be a child with autism, especially a child with that's on the autism spectrum, but other children with disabilities as well. And so I'm going to get into that also to highlight some methods, some considerations, some warnings, and then also some resources for you to ensure that you're providing a really safe environment for children of all abilities, children who may be drawn to water, those who may want to run away and go to water. And we want to make sure that we're just doing a couple things. One, of course, most importantly, in avoiding any tragedy, but also making sure that you feel really confident in the services you're providing for your children and for your staff as well. So a little bit about the ARC of California very quickly. The ARC is almost 80 years old and advocates for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families. And so we do a lot about, we work a lot in community inclusion, home and community-based services, special education, early intervention services, and advocating to ensure that there's proper funding, there's proper resources for services and supports for individuals with developmental disabilities. Why do we have a special consideration for water safety? well, we're going to talk a little bit about that, but just want to also acknowledge first, before we jump in there, that so many of you are supporting children. I mean, without doubt, if you are providing childcare services, you are also providing services and supports for children who have intellectual and/or developmental disabilities. And so, want to just encourage you in the work that you're doing in providing inclusive environments, safe environments, and helpful and supportive environments for our children with disabilities as well, in all that you do. And know that you have a friend and a resource and a partner in the ARC of California, but of course also in the department in providing the best support you can for the children and their families. All right, let's go forward here and let's start getting into water safety and start talking a little bit about it. Why do we care so much? It is shocking how prevalent drowning is, specifically with children on the autism spectrum disorder, on the autism spectrum. One study out of Columbia University demonstrated 160 times more likely to drown than neurotypical peers. And there's reasons for that. We know that some children can wander, and oftentimes children with autism will wander and be gravitating towards water. There's reasons for that. And water can be very calming. If there's too much stimulus, you can get your head underwater and get away from the stimulus. At the same time, if our children don't know water safety or don't know how to swim, then of course that can lead to very dangerous circumstances. And 70 to 80% of childhood drowning occurs in the backyard swimming pool. And so I want to say that that also includes, your backyard swimming pool. If perhaps there is a pool on site for you, or not even a pool, I want to talk about any body of water. It could be 1.5 feet deep. That needs to be something that you are concerned about as well. It could be a 4-foot circle that's 1.5 feet deep. We know that drowning can happen in that situation as well. And also want to highlight, of course, that it's not just the water that's on your site, but as we talked about children wandering, it can be a pool or water anywhere close by to your facility and to your location. And so that could be a backyard, that could be a public body of water, that could be a public pool. We really want to encourage you to do as well is to be sure that you're mapping out around your location where the bodies of water are, so that in the scary circumstance that you cannot find a child who has wandered, that you know exactly the bodies of water and you would go check there likely first. Especially if it's a child with autism, then that is where you're going to want to check first, is a body of water. And so please map out all around you where those are, so that you do know how and when and where you can access all of those. So this is why we care a lot about it at the ARC of California, and why we're so honored to be invited to talk with you about it today. My slides have a lot of overview information, and it's often, I really encourage, if you have questions, especially about the IDD, intellectual and developmental disability community, or children with IDD, and of course its relevance to water safety, then please let me know. Let's head to the next slide. So there's a couple things we want to highlight for you. It's not only about drowning and when a child dies from drowning. Near drowning is also incredibly important to us, because near drowning incidents are a major cause of intellectual disability, actually. So victims of near drowning accidents may and often do experience disabilities for the remainder of their lives. Central nervous system damage, varying levels of brain damage, traumatic, and learning disabilities. And so survivors of near drowning incidents may experience a lifetime of medical problems, intellectual disability. And so what we want to ensure also is that we are minimizing preventable disabilities, preventable causes of intellectual or developmental disability in our children. And this is a big cause of preventable disabilities in California. And so this is another huge reason why it's so important to us, and I know to you as well. The next slide demonstrates a little bit about just getting into some data. This is in the state of California, those who we provide supports and services for. This is just, you don't need to memorize any of this, but just to demonstrate for you how many individuals are served with public services as a result of their disability onset by near drowning incidents. So it is prevalent, and it lasts a lifetime for an individual. So we want to prevent it, right? And we want to make sure that we see the signs and we're aware of what is happening and that we can be prepared. Next slide. Another thing we want to make sure that you're really aware of. We're going to talk about some signs of distress in the water, some signs of drowning. We're going to start actually before we do that with secondary drowning. So secondary drowning is something we want to make sure you are aware of, because this can happen up to 48 hours after a near drowning incident. And you may see that you may find a child in water, you may get them out of the water, and you may think, oh my gosh, that was close, but they're talking, they seem fine, they're okay. And you may send them on home with parents, and then within 24 hours, actually, then they die of drowning. And that is caused by the fluid buildup. And so really want you to be aware, if you have any type of water, even if it's you think you got them in plenty of time, no scare here, we're fine. You want to be on high alert for secondary drowning. You want to alert the parents of any type of indicators of what could be happening. That could be swelling, that could be fever, that could be difficulty breathing. The symptoms of near drowning can be a lot of different types of symptoms in the next 48 hours. So you and the parents want to be on high alert for any type of symptoms that may occur. So just not many people are aware of secondary drowning. And so this is something we really want to bring to your attention, so that you as being the first line there, if it happens when you are in care of the child, you're not just sending home without any type of report, update, alert to the parents, but you're ensuring that they know about being very aware and on alert for any type of symptoms that may occur in the next 48 hours, and to go immediately to the emergency room if any symptoms do occur after a near drowning or even a not near, but even a somewhat close drowning incident in water. So next slide, I think, is we're going to talk a little bit more about drowning and water safety, and what we want to make sure you are aware of what drowning most often looks like. So these are resources, and I'll put the link in the chat, that this was developed by the Department of Developmental Services in California. And it really highlights that drowning is silent. And, in the movies, or what you typically see of somebody screaming and yelling, help, 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 waving their hands, that is almost always not how drowning occurs. And so we want to make sure that you are aware also of the signs of drowning, which are often very silent, head back, trying to get that last air, nose and head up in the air and the rest of the body down underwater, but just that final head up trying to get air. That is the last seconds before an individual goes underwater. And there's often not yelling. And of course, if you see a child, God forbid, if you do see a child head down floating as well, then that is when you want to instantly get emergency services involved as well. But to prevent drowning, we want to make sure that you are aware. And we think that this is a really helpful resource for you to put at your facility. Really want you to train your staff into recognizing what drowning looks like, what water safety looks like for you and your facility. And of course, not just water at your location, but water around your location, understanding that children, especially children with autism, may have a high propensity to wander towards a body of water. And so again, these are really great resources to put out for your staff and for you to be aware of as well. And again, I will put that in the chat, and I'm sure that we will send that out as a follow-up resource as well. And just be, again, aware. There is often no warning. There's no splashing. There's no sounds with a drowning accident. And so you want to make sure your staff are aware that a child in water who is the most quiet and making the less fuss, the least amount of fuss, that's the one who's in the most distress. And so, again, it's a little different than what we're used to seeing as what drowning may look like. So these resources will be available for you to print out. The Department of Developmental Services updates these every now and then, includes other languages every now and then. And we think that it's still a really, really helpful resource. I believe the next slide is going to bring me to, my close. And so what I really just want to stress and summarize again is be hyper aware of your children, all children, be hyper aware of your children with disabilities, especially those with autism, because the drowning prevalence is so much higher in those children. Water is often a safe place. Unfortunately, they may not have the skills to survive in the water. Highly encourage you. There's a lot of, swim schools are a popular thing out there, and many will be happy to come into your location to provide a water safety training. I know that that is something that occurs. There's also, if you have a child with autism or any child with a disability, for all children, of course, but I want to highlight specifically swim lessons, swimming skills. Learning how to swim is a matter of life and death. And so we want to encourage you to encourage your families to really make sure that water safety is a part of their development and that it's a priority. And so there's a lot of public public pools out there as well that will offer lessons and classes, and want to encourage you to integrate water safety as a part of your curriculum as well, and if possible, partner with or get parents to be involved with swim lessons as well, to ensure that they are confident in the water as they get older, and as they so we can avoid, again, these preventable tragedies or disabilities when it comes to drowning or near drowning incidents. That's all from me. I know there's a lot more to come, and we'll be around to answer questions, and I'll put that link to the resource in the chat as well.
Thank you, Jordan. That was amazing. Thank you for the very valuable information. And yes, definitely stick around to the end. I'm sure we'll have some great questions. But yes, we're going to go ahead and transition. I'm super excited to be welcoming the lovely Bianca Mendez from our technical support team. Tonight, she will be covering two separate topics, including the water requirements that I mentioned earlier and the criminal record background check requirements. So take it away, Bianca. And next slide, please.
Good evening, everyone. While drowning is preventable, it remains a serious risk for children. In California, it is one of the leading causes of injury-related deaths for children under 5 and children with autism, according to the Department of Developmental Services. Even when a child survives a near-drowning incident, the impact can result in lifelong disabilities. Nationwide, the CDC identifies drowning as the second leading cause of death for children ages 5 to 14. This is why active supervision and strong safety measures are essential to prevent these tragedies. Next slide, please. Pool safety requirements under AB 2866 specifically apply to childcare centers and family childcare homes that operate in private single-family homes with in-ground swimming pools. This means not every facility is impacted, but if you do have this type of pool, these requirements apply to you. The goal is to reduce risk and ensure children are protected through proper barriers and safety measures. It's important for providers to understand whether their setting falls under this law so they can stay compliant and keep children safe. Please note, it is important for licensees to review the related PIN and specific laws to ensure they're in compliance. Next slide, please. Effective January 1st, 2025, childcare centers must be compliant with Health Safety Code 1596.814. That means outdoor pools must be completely enclosed by a fence, wall, or barrier that prevents children from accessing the area. Indoor pools must be secured with a self-closing door that either has a high latch or restricted access like a code or key card. And importantly, there must also be a second layer of protection to prevent unsupervised access, for example, an alarm. Ensure children are actively supervised at all times to prevent unauthorized access to the pool. Next, this is where we see a difference between childcare centers and family childcare homes. Next slide, please. As of January 1st, 2025, new pool safety laws are in effect, and it's important for all childcare providers to understand and implement them. It is important to note that these requirements apply specifically to family childcare homes operated in a private single-family dwelling, not to all family childcare homes. The law requires that any pool on the premises be fully enclosed with a barrier, such as a fence or wall, that prevents direct access from the home or facility. We will address this in the next two pool enclosure slides. In addition, providers must either have a pool cover or pool alarm that meets American Society for Testing and Materials, ASTM, safety standards. The pool alarm must sound if someone enters the water. Equally important is the requirement for emergency equipment such as a life ring with a minimum diameter of 17 inches, approved by the U.S. Coast Guard, and a rescue pole with a body hook at least 12 feet long must be readily accessible. These measures are designed to protect children by preventing unsupervised access to water and ensuring staff are equipped to respond immediately in case of an emergency. Next slide, please. When we look at pool safety requirements, the enclosure serves as a critical protective barrier to prevent unsupervised access to the water. For both family childcare homes and childcare centers, the access gate must open away from the pool and be self-closing and self-latching. This ensures the gate returns to a secured position every time it's used without relying on staff to manually close it. In addition, the latch must be key lockable and installed at a minimum height of 60 inches, keeping it out of reach of children. The enclosure itself must be at least 60 inches in height to prevent climbing, and the clearance at the bottom cannot exceed 2 inches. This eliminates gaps that could allow a child to crawl underneath. These requirements are in place to create a consistent, reliable barrier that reduces the risk of children gaining access to the pool area without direct supervision. Please note, if you choose to key lock the pool gate, ensure that the key is immediately accessible to anyone providing care in the event that a child gains access to the pool area. Delays in retrieving the key can hinder life-saving measures. Slide, please. For both family childcare homes and childcare centers, in addition to the height and gate requirements, it is equally important to ensure the overall structural integrity of the enclosure. Openings within the enclosure must not permit the passage of a 4-inch diameter spear. This standard is intended to prevent a child from passing through the barrier or becoming entrapped. The exterior surface of the enclosure must be free of any features that could serve as handholds or footholds. This requirement is critical as it reduces the likelihood of a child climbing over the barrier. This would include ensuring there are no pieces of furniture, toys, or other objects that are next to the fence or can easily be pulled to the fence by a child. If mesh fencing is utilized and does not otherwise demonstrate compliance with these requirements, the licensee must maintain documentation verifying that the fencing meets the American Society for Testing and Materials International Standard ASTM F2286. Collectively, these provisions are designed to ensure the enclosure functions as an effective and reliable barrier, minimizing the risk of unauthorized access to the pool area. Slide, please. The United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, CPSC, in coordination with manufacturers including Bestway, Intex, and Polygroup, has announced a recall of approximately 5 million above-ground pools that are 48 inches or taller and utilize compression straps along the exterior support poles. These compression straps can create unintended footholds, allowing young children to climb into the pool without supervision. The CPSC has identified this as a significant safety hazard and has reported that 9 children between 22 months and 3 years of age have drowned after gaining access to the pools using these footholds. This serves as an important reminder to regularly review safety alerts and recalls and to assess any equipment on site for potential hazards that may not be immediately obvious. Ensuring that pool structures do not provide climbable features is a critical component of preventing unsupervised access. The image is an example of recalled above-ground pools with arrows showing the compression strap running externally on the outside and over the vertical support of legs. Please review PIN 25-16 CCLD for more detail. Next slide, please. When we're talking about childcare centers, water activities are an area where supervision is especially critical. The ratios are stricter here for a reason. Water adds a level of risk that requires closer attention. For preschool-age children, we're looking at 1 adult for every 6 children. For infants, supervision is much more hands-on. 1 adult for every 2 infants with limited flexibility if they can independently enter and exit the water. Wading pools, especially inflatable or portable ones, must be emptied after each use, and at least 1 adult with a valid water safety certification must always be present. Now that we've covered the water requirements, let's move on to our next topic. Next slide, please. Background check requirements are a common topic for childcare providers. In this section, I will review the background clearance process, including fingerprinting, guardian, criminal record clearances, exemptions, and requirements for volunteers. Next slide, please. Individuals who have contact with children in care must obtain a criminal record clearance. California law requires that any person present in a licensed childcare facility who may impact the health and safety of children in care undergo fingerprinting and a criminal background check before being allowed in the facility. Individuals must receive a criminal record clearance or, if applicable, an approved criminal record exemption before having contact with children. They must also obtain a Child Abuse Central Index clearance, otherwise known as the CACI clearance. It is the responsibility of the licensee to ensure that all staff, volunteers, and other required individuals have completed the necessary background check requirements prior to working at the facility or being present around children. These requirements are an important safeguard designed to help protect children and maintain a safe care environment. Next slide, please. Fingerprinting and criminal background clearances are important requirements designed to help ensure the safety and well-being of children in care. Before a person begins employment, moves into a licensed family childcare home, or is present in a facility in a capacity that requires a background check, their fingerprints must be submitted to the California Department of Justice. In some cases, CDSS may allow an individual to transfer an existing criminal record clearance from one licensed facility to another if certain requirements are met. The criminal background clearance transfer requests form can be used to request this transfer and may help streamline the hiring process. Next slide, please. Fingerprinting and criminal background clearances are important requirements designed to help ensure the safety and well-being of children in care. Before a person begins employment, moves into a licensed, background check requirements apply to more than just the applicant. They're also required for adults who are responsible for managing the facility or supervising staff, any adult who lives in the facility, individuals who provide care and supervision to children, staff, volunteers, and employees who have contact with children. The key takeaway is that anyone who may have contact with children or influence the operation of the facility may be required to complete the background clearance process. Slide, please. There are some individuals who may be exempt from the background clearance requirement under specific conditions. These can include volunteers providing limited, specialized services who are directly supervised, spend no more than 16 hours per week at the facility, and are never left alone with children. Students participating through an accredited educational program, relatives, legal guardians, or foster parents who are volunteering in connection with the child in care, contracted repair or maintenance personnel, other individuals who may be determined to have a similar role. The important takeaway is that exemptions are limited and often come with specific requirements. When in doubt, please consult with your licensing program analyst to determine whether a clearance is required. Slide, please. The criminal background check process is managed through Guardian, an online system used by Community Care Licensing Division and the Care Provider Management Branch to process and track background clearances. To help avoid delays, providers are encouraged to start the application process in Guardian before scheduling fingerprinting. Once the application is started, Guardian will generate a live scan form, otherwise known as the LIC 9163. Using the form generated through Guardian is important because it helps ensure that fingerprint results are matched to the correct individual and facility. A common issue that can delay the clearance process is using an incorrect or outdated live scan form. Always use the form generated through Guardian for each applicant. If you need additional guidance on using Guardian, there are resources available, including PIN 21-22 CCLD and training webinars located at the Guardian homepage. Next slide, please. This is an example of the Request for Live Scan Service, LIC 9163. It is Important to have the entire form filled out. Do not leave any part of the form blank. Page 2 of the form gives detailed instructions on how to fill it out. The type of facility is daycare center. It's important to have your facility number that is on your reports. If there isn't a number, they may receive the clearance, but then the person will not be associated to your facility. That would still get you a citation. As always, your facility is your first and last name. You can call your home childcare anything you'd like, but according to licensing, it's your first and last name. This form should be completed before contacting LiveScan service for an appointment, which is usually done online. Slide, please. If you found this presentation informative and useful for your facility, the technical support team can conduct a training with you and your staff. Each TSP analyst is a former LPA who has extensive knowledge on Title 22 regulations, best practices, and licensing expectations. They can work with you on topics such as care and supervision, personal rights, record keeping, staff qualifications, family childcare operations, and more. Reach out to the TSP analysts in your region or to your licensing program analyst for a referral. Thank you, everyone. Now I'll pass it on to Cindy.
Thank you, Bianca. Before we start our Q&A, we would like to share a quick poll and a few reminders with you. At this time, we have a poll for all our audience members to help us make sure we are meeting your language needs. What is your preference language that you speak, read, and write? Responses are coming in now, so we'll wait for a few more minutes.
All right, we're going to give it one more minute, Cindy, and then I'll end the poll and we should be able to see results. So thank you, everybody. One more minute to answer. Okay, Cindy, is it showing results for you on your end? I don't see them here.
No.
Okay, let's see if I'm able to gather anything. So it looks like I won't be able to share it, but it looks like just to share really quickly, we have Spanish, Russian, Armenian, Chinese. So we have a little bit of everything. So this is really going to be helpful for us to provide interpretation moving forward. So thank you so much for that. And Cindy, if you wanted to go ahead and move on, that would be great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. we would like to share several important summer events celebrated in our communities. Pride Month, a time to celebrate and support the LGBTQ community and recognize equality. June 19, Juneteenth, a day that celebrates the end of slavery in U.S. and honors Black history and culture. July 4th, Independence Day, a day celebrating the birth of the United States. August 9, International Day of the World Indigenous People, a day to recognize and celebrate Indigenous culture and communities around the world. August 26, Women's Equality Day, a day that celebrates women's right to vote and ongoing push for the equal rights. We would like to remind you to notify your licensing program analysts or local regional offices whenever there are changes to your phone number, email address, facility location, or any changes to your operation and/or physical plant. A link to your local regional office contact information is available on this slide and can also be found on our DSS website. As always, we will continue to post provider information notice, also known as PINs, with the detail about upcoming webinars, including registration information and links. Our next statewide webinar will be hosted on September 22nd and December 8th at 6 p.m. Before we begin the Q&A session, please take a few moments to complete our survey. Your feedback and suggestion help us improve future webinars and better meet your needs. You can access You can access the survey by scanning the QR code displayed on this slide with your phone camera or by using the survey link that has been posted in the chat. We will now pause briefly to allow those who would like to complete the survey to do so.